We'll trickle in and then we'll get started.
Thank you for liking me. I don't think Valerie has joined us yet, but she should be with us very shortly.
No problem, no problem. I was trying to test out my DJ skills, but clearly nobody's paying attention to my DJing.
The sound is...
It's all, oh God. Come on, invest in me, Joe.
Invest in you as a DJ.
As a DJ, that's the next, according to tech.
I'm hearing some Afro beats or some, I'm biased to Amapiano, but I don't hear anything.
Because I paused it right now because I think my sound is not great. Let me try again. Is that good?
We can't hear
it. I can hear you, but also you're frozen in time, which is not a bad thing, but like it's, to me, you are frozen. I don't know if it's the same to Joe.
No, I think I can hear you. I can't see you, but I feel like it's fine. Oh, I can see you now, Dees. I feel like it's fine for me. Let me see. Awesome. Let me just ping Valerie.
Valerie's just joined.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then we can just get started now. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Falakemi Osho, and I am the General Manager here at HoaQ. Thank you for joining our last AMA session for the year. It's been a really great, year so far for us at HoaQ, and it's just very interesting that we're ending the AMA sessions for 2025 with something called community-driven growth. This is something that we've been doing for over the last 5 years, and it's great to share real life experiences and also to have Valerie and Dees on the call with us today. Just to quickly run you through what to expect in this session. Next slide, please. So we would do a quick welcome and intro of our guests so far, then a panel discussion between one of the co-founders of HoaQ and Dees and Valerie, and then a quick Q&A. So we will not be taking live Q&As. If you have any questions, you can just use the chat to send in your questions, but we will not take live ones where people can unmute and speak. And then we'll quickly run through HoaQ updates. Next slide. So for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, HoaQ Club is a community of angels that are backing businesses building for Africa and for Africans. We typically invest in technical founders. We invest super early from pre-seed to Series A. Our minimum check size is about 25K. We've done over 120 companies so far, with some of them being follow-on rounds. We have a community of over 800 angel investors in our community, and so far we've seen 11 exits. Next slide. We've invested across countries. Like I mentioned, we invest in Africa and for Africans. So these are some of the countries that we've invested in so far. All right. With that being said, I would pass it on now to one of the co-founders of HoaQ to introduce our guests for the day. That's Dees and Valerie. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you for liking me. Dees, Valerie, it's such a pleasure to have the both of you here. As somebody who really believes in community-driven growth, I thought it was appropriate for me to have the both of you here to hear from your experiences, learnings, failures, about how you approach community building in your two various communities. Before we get into it, I know it's the last AMA of the month. It's 4 p.m. and dark in London. And what that often means is a lot of people, especially Africans who live in the Northern Hemisphere, are going to start their migration, aka Dirty December. So my first question for people who are on this call is, will you be going to Dirty December or will you be celebrating Dirty December somewhere that's not in Europe? Just say yes, no, use the comments to let me know. because, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. So I'll take a pause there. Even people, okay, I see some thumbs up. This doesn't apply for people who are already in the jurisdictions where December is celebrated, right? Okay, we have one no, which is great. But the reason why I'm asking, okay, well, it seems like a lot of people read my article, and the article I published about 2 weeks ago, which is around if you can afford to go to December, you can afford to invest in a startup. So it's good that many HoaQ members, wink, wink, are not going for December. But that being said, Dees, Valerie, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I thought about how to describe both of you, and frankly, I'm struggling. But maybe in 30 seconds, Valerie, we'll start with you. How do you describe yourself these days?
These days?
Yes.
I am an evolving human. I currently told Joe like before, like I'm Valerie 2.0 right now. So I'm someone that's currently evolving and continues to evolve. And I believe that the experiences that you go through will continue to shape who you are and how you show up. So that's probably going to be my answer.
Okay, Valerie 2.0. For those who don't know, Valerie is a seasoned Fintech product manager, but also she's a community builder of Black in Fintech. And we'll share more about what she does at the organization. Dees, yes, same question to you. Like, how do you describe yourself? I don't think any of us have actually managed to do it. Hopefully you can do it better than us.
No, I can't. And I often like asking other people to describe what they think I am or do. So I would have passed it back to you, but like since you're evading that.
All right, so instead of me telling people what you do, I might tell how we met. So it's Andy Davis introduced us nearly 3 years ago, and we met in King's Cross for the first time, and we had a very long coffee.
Weirdly, Joe and the Juice.
Yeah, I do not owe Joe and the Juice. Just I do, I don't. But I'll say to Valerie earlier that I think that was right there when you became the first ever investor in Borderless. But we've also interacted in many, many ways in like social settings, in private settings, in different countries, at breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. I think I've done all three with you. And I'll describe you as a connector, somebody who will essentially downplay what they're really good at. And also say to Valerie that you run a secret community, which you think it's not very secret, but hopefully we'll get into that. Is that a fair description of who you think you are?
If that works for you, then like, sure.
It works for me.
Go with the flow. Look, I think of myself as a troublemaker, is the reality. Just someone that indexes highly on network and relationships. And really, I don't know about Dees 2.0, I'm probably beyond that. But I like to say my throwaway laughable statement is like champion tea drinker. As you can see, I've got a cup of tea in front of me right now. A sneakerhead, like that's an expensive hobby. Just came back with like 3 pairs of sneakers. Fortunately, my wife came back with more, so like I'm okay. And a more recent bookworm. Like I see a pile of books next to Joe. I went through a period of not reading at all. At best, the Metro on the London Tube, if anyone's been. But now I've sort of upped the ante and sort of take any spare time and read, which is an excuse to get away from the screen, really. So not that quantity matters, but sort of a book a week. So my aim is 52 a year.
How's that working out?
I get there or thereabouts. But it's not about the number. Like it's more just a thing that gets you closer to reading more. Setting the goal is not about reaching the goal.
Interesting. Great. Well, I'm glad that you've added to what I think you are or who I think you are. I'm going to keep the mic with you, the virtual mic. Dees, I want to go back to your early days as a community builder. Like, when did you realize you're a community builder? And like, is that something that you think about when you bring people together at all?
So one, theoretically, I think what you're implying is like through my working career, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never, and you may not even know this, but like I've never actually had an official title of community or builder or anything like that. So I've never, as a role, I've never had that. It's just what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And like you, lots of people have asked like how, why, when did it start? And like often I've just like not said anything because I of course I could make up something, but like it would be making it up. And when I have managed to think about it, the reality is it goes back to growing up. Like I feel like I had this from day zero. For context, I'm South African. I grew up in Durban on the east coast of South Africa. And if anyone knows Durban, it's very similar to other cities in the world that you may be familiar with, Lagos, etc. It's really, in its DNA, is this mentality of it's who you know and not what you know.
Mm-hmm.
So while education, having a lot of education, having financial wealth, etc., can be helpful. Like it only matters in a place like Durban about who you know, and if you know people, doors open, proverbial doors open. And so if you're from an environment like that, it's in your DNA. You don't think about it. It's just what you've grown up with. And so I've had it from pretty much day zero, from where I grew up or happened to have grown up.
I like that. And I saw when you posted about this event on your LinkedIn, you talked about how, again, you've had to put the 10,000 hours into doing what you do. But again, like you mentioned that it's just something that you're born with when you're from a place like Durban. I think this really closes the loop for me. Valerie, I want to come back to you. Nearly the same question, like when did you realize that you were a community builder? And like when you think about community building, like do you have an approach to it? Take me back to your early days. I know you worked at a recruitment agency and then you went to Funding Circle and now you are RBC, and you've had like quite I'm going to use the term lengthy, but also relatively short career. Like, are there hints of community building as part of your career to where you are now?
Yeah, I think so. I also grew up in London. I think London's the opposite when it comes to community building, where everyone's very to themselves. So I think it is very against the culture, specifically within tech, to actually build community, or that was the case, let's say like 5 years ago. So for me, I guess from like a personal standpoint, I've always been a product of community. I didn't have the best of like upbringings or childhoods, but I always had like surrogate aunties and uncles and mothers and fathers that looked after me. I think that is essential for every single, like that's why I continue to evolve, is because of the people around me and who I surround myself with. So when it came to, I guess, early days in careers, looking at, I guess, my time at Funding Circle is probably when I thought community was like the best place. So Funding Circle was this, or it still is, this peer-to-peer learning platform. And this is where retail investors used to put their money together and invest in small businesses. So for me, I think that concept of community was just like, oh, this is so cool. People put their money together to support small businesses. And I used to be an account manager there. And again, you're building relationships with account managers. You're seeing what investors are able to do. And I guess I worked at Funding Circle during early days, and you have to build community to be able to actually do your job. So literally you have to have friends in ops, you have to have friends in legal, you have to have friends everywhere across the board to be able to get a deal through the line. So I just saw the strength of relationships, but also building a community and what that could do. And then I guess from my standpoint, I was always the first and only Black in my situation. So again, being intentional about creating relationships with people that looks like me in my job and outside of my job went a long way. And then when I became a product manager, you're doing stuff like open banking, CCDS. And I was doing that for the first time. So again, creating relationships and community with people outside went a long way. So that way, if I wanted a question around, I don't know, what the hell am I doing with open banking? I knew a black guy at TrueLayer. Hey, cousin, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? And then I guess what I started to do is be intentional about keeping those friendships. So if people moved on from Funding Circle to PayPal or London Stock Exchange, how do we keep in contact? How do we start to form like actual groups? So I was an ERG lead at Funding Circle in its early days, stepped back and then started to do informal link-ups, which is, I guess, Black and FinTech 1.0. So yeah, I've just been a product of community from early days and then saw that be fruitful at Funding Circle and then continued that. And I guess it kind of goes against the culture in London where everyone's to themselves. And we're still trying to break through that, right? And we've got a long way to go. But I think I've seen how that benefited me, how it's benefited others. And it's just, if you're intentional about it, it can go a long way for you.
That's great to hear. And one thing that really stood out to me is like community building is inherent to your job, because you need to build a community around you to be able to do your job as an account manager, but also as a product manager. Yeah. And I think oftentimes we don't think about that as we are like working, or as we're working with colleagues, etc. So that's great insight. I want to stay with you, Valerie. I mean, you started Black in FinTech with a focus on representation and equity in FinTech. Why did you start?
Because it was snowing.
Okay.
So for everyone, I guess that every single room that I was in was always full of white people, and I was just like, hey, it doesn't make sense. For me, when I look at FinTech and when I think about FinTech, it's essentially just democratizing finance. It's making finance a lot more easy and accessible. We as a community still have barriers to that. So we need essentially like Black in FinTech to actually happen. Like we need more Black people to be engaging with FinTech products, but we also need more Black people within the space to define what FinTech should look like. So for me, it was just like a no-brainer. Create community, people need to grow in the space, but also people need to engage more with FinTech. So yeah, I just realized it was snowing. Of course, I've been privileged to be on the Women in FinTech Power List 3 years in a row. You sit at round tables, you see people defining digital ID, CBDCs, all this stuff. And it was just like, A, the right people aren't in the rooms, but also we need representation, because what's going to happen is, as we continue to digitize finance, if we're not in those rooms and we don't represent them, we will continue to be excluded. So for me, it was just like, there's a bigger problem to solve. There's a gap. No one's doing it. I'll do it. And we'll take it from there. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Black and FinTech 1.0, but I'll pause that for now. Dees, I'm going to come back to you. I mean, so you've worked for eBay and Mozilla, which is probably one of the coolest companies still out there, and like they also have great communities around them. And yeah, looking at your LinkedIn, which has title investor more than anything else, but you've done so many things. You see a lot of on a lot of boards, and you still like are part of like a lot of like many communities around the world. Looking back at your career at eBay and Mozilla, like what sort of principles from your early days still hold true today, especially for founders who are probably on this call, for investors? Like what are the principles that like folks can leverage when they're thinking about community building? Or do they still even hold true at all?
There are probably some foundational things that hold true, but they're really more bumper rails, and you've got to make community what it means to you, right? Like there's no rule book that says do these 7 things or 72 things and you have community. It could be 2 things. It could be a whole lot of things. So yeah, lots of lessons, but each are like specific to the circumstances, right? I think it's more looking at like, it's sometimes easier to think about the things that don't work as opposed to things that do work. Well, one, it's not going to go very well if like you believe it's a person or a team's job to do community. It's everyone's job to do community.
Yeah.
And if that's not natural, then like you're never going to have it anyway. Like I said, I've never had a community role ever, yet I you tell me, or you're telling a whole lot of people on this call that I've done community for 2 decades or whatever. Yet I've never had that role, that title anywhere. So you just do it. One. Two, like, yeah, like I said, it can't be just someone or a team in some small corner doing it, right? Like, if your leaders aren't doing it themselves and doing it naturally, then like, why even bother, right?
Yeah.
And along with that, like, I think is authenticity. Like, you have to be authentic and engage and learn and discover and go with the flow and listen, and show up. Like, most importantly, like authenticity and showing up. Like, I get a number of people that go like, I put on this thing, whatever this thing may be. It may be an actual event, it may be just a small gathering, it may be like going to the pub. And then I'll hear from someone that like, yeah, but nobody showed up. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like, people are busy, right? Like, people do what they have to do. Like, you know, this, even coming to this call, like, you know, you told me a few hundred people signed up, but you're expecting 50% not to show up, right? Because that's just the way it is. So I'm like, so why are you getting upset with that? Like, whoever shows up are the right people. Like, it doesn't matter. If they showed up, then like they are the right people, one. Two, often the people that get upset for people not showing up are the people that themselves don't show up. So I often ask that question for the person that's upset. Like, yeah, you're upset that a lot of people didn't show up to this thing that you put a lot of effort and time into. And then I say, like, but yourself, like, have you gone to all these other people's things? And often the answer is no, but I'm busy, I've got family, I've got whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's your answer, right? Like, think of it in the scenario of a protest, right? Like, so you want everyone to show up to your protest, but you never show up to their protest. So why should they?
Yeah. No, that's, so there's like, is it that, call it hidden reciprocity that is just inherent to community building, or is that even the right word to use?
Like, a lot of people, like, it doesn't need to be like for like, right? Or you scratch my back, like, that is the wrong recipe, right? But it can't also be nothing. Like, you know, you need to show up, you need to be part of things, you need to be helpful, you need to engage. You can't only think about yourself, right? And playing the long game. Lots of people have played the very short game. I will do this if I get something else out of it. Tomorrow, next week, next month. Show up to the things that you enjoy showing up, that you're, you know, actually get a value out of. And things will pay back at whatever time. And if they don't, because you had enough fun and you learned a lot, you're winning already. So like, why do you need to get paid back?
No, that's really nice. I had to admit on this call that yourself and Valerie are probably the most helpful people that I've interacted with in many ways. And I always run to you whenever I have any issue, and oftentimes you have an answer for me, which is super useful. Valerie, I'm gonna come back to you. I want to talk about like physical connection. You know, since the pandemic, you know, we went online, and now like we're coming back in person. And I came to your event about 4 months ago, and like it was an in-person event, and it was packed. I think a lot of people were even standing at the back. And you've built like this in-person but also remote community. Like, what's the difference between building something online versus in person, and how do you think like founders should approach both?
Yeah, I think what COVID proves is that relationships truly can be built online outside of Hinge or Bumble. I think beyond dating, I think COVID actually proved you can build really solid relationships if you're really intentional about it online. I think in person, that's always been the case. That's always been proven, but COVID did that really well. And we saw, what was it, Clubhouse? Clubhouse, yeah. People like, till this day, like, oh yeah, they met their partners through Clubhouse, they met their co-founders through Clubhouse. Like, Clubhouse really works really well. Now, I'm not an online babe. I really struggle. I'm bad at replies. I'm not that active on social media. I actually deleted my Instagram for my birthday this year. I've never really been an online person, but I've always tried to be as intentional with community offline, which means I go to events, I talk to strangers, I try and keep up with them as much as I can and see their journeys. I can't keep up with everyone, but I just accept if God wants us to be reconnected in 5 years' time, it will happen. I think when it comes to in-person events, that is really when people come out of their shells and you can actually fully read them. So for me, I think in-person events are still essential. Of course, it's harder to reach everyone, even with Black in Fintech. I'm still struggling to understand how to piece in-person versus virtual. But I think in-person is really when you build genuine connections, you're able to hug the person, interact with them, be vulnerable as well, because that's really hard to do online. So I think the levels of conversations you're able to have digitally versus in-person changes. I think when it comes to founders, depending on you and depending on who you're looking to meet and what you need, you can really flex with both. I think LinkedIn's really proved really well for meeting people, being able to set up conversations. And if you're really intentional about that relationship, you can sustain that. You can sustain community. But I think in person still is the way to go for most people. And again, it's just tapping into hubs, ecosystems, and being intentional about building relationships, I think both ways. Because even when it comes to LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure you've seen this, you will see some of your biggest fans you've never met. Some of your biggest supporters, you've actually never met them, which is crazy. So yeah, I think it's just being intentional about both verticals and then seeing what works for you and then adapting.
Yeah, I think this might be the perfect time to plug all the in-person events you're planning for next year. Do you want to talk to me?
Sure. Yeah, so we're going to be having quarterly events at Barclays Innovation Hub. So that's based in Central London, close to Moorgate, which will be awesome. And then we're looking to have a few other, like, I guess, bigger events around like UK FinTech Week and then also London Tech Week, and then maybe another one during Black History Month, depending on what the community really needs. So I've actually launched out a survey. I'm just collecting like community feedback and then basing our partnerships and engagements based on that. But quarterly events will always be the case. And then what I really want to happen is actually for everyone to have offline conversations. So what was really great after our launch event was one girl, Miski, I don't know if she's on the call, but shout out to Miski. She created this like Black Girls in FinTech group chat. And that's just on WhatsApp, and it's just girls across the board, like just connecting and talking and putting their LinkedIn and being like, hey, ladies, there's this event that's going on. And it's just so nice to like see people creating mini communities out of an in-person event. So that's also been really beautiful to see. So for me, it's just like, okay, like some people continue that virtually, but at least if meeting in person, you get the best of both worlds. So yeah, next year will be really exciting. I'm really excited. It's just back to playing and making sure we serve the community.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to let everybody know about what's happening in Black in Fintech. And I hope to be here to be able to attend every single one of them. Dees, so I've been to your breakfast, lunch, suppers, and across the world, which is pretty cool. Is there a secret to the perfect gathering? And how do you keep these going? Because you just came back from Japan, and I was surprised that you didn't do any gathering in Japan. But I know that everywhere you go, you organize something. And every single one I've been to, I've met people that I still stay in touch with. Like in SF, for example, when we had that breakfast, and somebody introduced me to somebody, and then now I'm talking to these people as if we were best friends for life, right? So that's my experience. I'd love to know, like, how do you, is there an art or science to the perfect gathering, or is there like a mix of both? And how do you find the time to keep it going?
One, it's mostly selfish for me because my general attitude is I'm going to eat anyway. So why not eat with 3 or 4 other people? I mean, like, there's only so many teas and coffees I can do if I'm traveling and catching up with people. So like having a dinner with a group of people or breakfast with a group of people actually gives me more value. So it's totally selfish. So that's one. 2 is I'm not precious with my network. A lot of people are like, I spend a lot of time, energy, effort building up something, and that's now mine, and I've got to guard it very closely. And Joe, like, Valerie not, but like Joe, you're in a few things that I have just that are there. And like a lot of times people reply to me and go like, wait, did you just open up your proverbial Rolodex to me and like all their details are available and I can just reach out to them? And I'm like, yeah, like the starting point is everyone's good until you're not, because when you're not, then like it's easy to remove you. And so like I don't hold that very closely, right? My general thinking is put good people together, stir the pot, and magic will happen. And I don't have to be in the center of that magic, and I don't have to control what that magic is. And that's why you can go off after a single breakfast and have a conversation for months, years. And sometimes I don't even know about it. I don't even need to know about it. Right? Like, you know, with a VC or with a product person or with someone that's just enjoys football and unfortunately Arsenal or something like that. I don't know. Like, you know, doesn't, yeah. I can start with all the low blows. But part of it is that, like, you know, often when I do these things, I'm the person that knows everyone else. So I'm the single common denominator. And so I've spent a lot of time already individually with these people. So I know them pretty well. And I interject in conversation, right? Because I can add things that I know that no one else knows. But then they get very comfortable with each other. And then it's like they all know each other for many months or years. Is there a perfect recipe? Not really, but like I found out a few things. Like ideally, like 5 or 6 people. I used to be that person that used to go to an event, like one of Valerie's events, and walk out handing a physical business card to pretty much everyone. Right? I used to be like, yeah, right, like give or take, right? That used to be me for many years. Now I'm like I just want to sometimes go to something and sit down quietly and consume some good content, meet 2 or 3 people I'm happy, and go home. So the idea of a breakfast with like 4, 5, 6 people is really good for me because I have meaningful contact, connection over and conversation over like maybe an hour and a half, 2.5 hours. And I've formed deeper relationships, but also it allows those 4 or 5 other people to get to know each other better so that they can go off and decide if they want to spend more time together.
Amazing. Yeah, great insights. Number of people, you being a common denominator.
Round tables as well. Like they're hard in the world, but a round table is always welcomed.
Interesting. Okay.
An odd number of people and a round table. Like even numbers of people, you tend to get 2 people, 2s or 3s or 4s, 2s or 4s normally breaking away and having separate conversations. But if you have an odd number of people in a round table, you tend to all be part of the conversation.
That is a science I didn't know. Let me take notes.
Yeah, that's very, very insightful. I think I see Andy Davis on this call who introduced us, Dees. I don't even know if Andy remembers, but Andy introduced us like nearly 3 years ago, and here we are. Shout out to Andy. He's also a super connector. For people who don't know him, you should get to know him. Great guy. We're having lunch soon. So yeah, look forward to catching up with Andy.
But here's the other interesting thing. Hey, and this is just a throwaway, just based on your comment. Often I meet people, like Valerie and I have never met each other before. Like we have more in the last like few days, etc. Right? But you, Joe, just described both of us as super connectors, right? And so most of the time, what would happen is we could be together somewhere, and I'd be chatting to Joe, and Valerie may show up, and like Joe will continue talking to us, and then at some point he'll realize, like, hold on, the both of you don't know each other, right? And then Joe or the third person will make a comment, something like, "How is it that you don't know each other? You're the 2 most connected people I know." This happens to me all the time. And the reality is that super connectors often don't know each other. It's like they have the same polarity. They kind of repel each other. They have their own mega networks, but they don't know each other. But when they do get to know each other, there's just an absolute explosion.
Huh.
And so like Andy Davis and I did not know each other for the longest time. When we did meet though, like that expansion just like is a multiplier effect when super connectors get to meet each other, but they often don't know each other.
I like that. Super connectors don't connect. That's good. That's a good takeaway. I'm conscious of time, and I think I've been completely absorbed by the conversation. But Valerie, I want to bring it back to you. Just like startups, ecosystem, and future trends. Like thinking forward, like what role can community play in helping more people like get into fintech and tech in general in the UK? And like, what have you learned about breaking barriers to funding, for example, or just allowing people to get into the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think an ecosystem, the way like Dees was even describing like how it was born in community, it sounded like literally what animals do in the in their ecosystems today. It sounds really weird, but like that's literally what we were built to do. We were just built to connect with other creatures, obviously breed of them, whatever, and just like live together. Like we were built to live together when you think about it. I think us as humans, like we've gone the other direction where we try and live in our own silos, in our own houses and build our own stuff. Like we were genuinely built to live with each other. And I think a healthy ecosystem is everyone coming together and cohabiting and coexisting. Of course, like there will still need to be competition to have a healthy ecosystem, but it's just everyone existing. So what was your question again? It was around breaking barriers in ecosystems.
Get into fintech and fintech as a whole, hopefully leveraging.
Yeah, I think fintech is still one of those, well, I can speak for the UK. Fintech is still one of those things where I feel like a lot of people still feel like they can't enter, but really and truly, like it's just, once you have one or two conversations with someone, you realize how random they entered into fintech or stumbled into, like Joe, you had the most random journey. I had the most random journey. Everyone just randomly stumbles into it. And I think it's just breaking down the expectations of how to enter into the scene. It's actually not that deep. It's understanding what your experience is, why you want to do it, and just going with it. As long as you have a mission, you'll be fine. I think in terms of breaking down barriers to funding, I think that's still something that we're trying to explore. No one's actually cracked the code. I think we're still having conversations around, is VCs actually the best way to access funding? Do we do collective investing? That's proven well, at least for Funding Circle. You're looking to prove that out, or you have been proving that out. Of course, we need to scale that. And we're happy to back you as well around that. But it's just, I guess, questioning the status quo. Because I guess that's what is again built to do. It's, we know what traditionally has been done. If we group together as a collective and question whether we can actually take an alternative route, will this happen? Will this exist? Hey, Andy. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Someone's talking to Andy. Do not shout to Andy Davis. He's actually my ex-neighbor. I met his girlfriend at CrossFit, and then I met him at an event. Apparently, it wasn't nice to him the first time round. I didn't remember this, and he came up to me again earlier this year. Sorry, but again, Andy's been a great help to a founder that I was. Yeah, Andy's great. So did I fully answer your question?
You did, yeah, and I think that's. I really like the part when you say question the status quo.
Yeah.
Just in case, like many people might not know this, but like I've literally forced myself into fintech about 10 years ago. Literally forced myself into it, and like it's just asking the obvious questions, and then you realize. I remember people were telling me, "You're an accountant. There's no way you can get into fintech," and I'm like, well, accountant, like fintech companies still need finance. So that's how I ended up like a CFO at a company, which turned out to be great. But like I think many people don't question the status quo enough. And fintechs are just other companies. Tech companies are just other companies, and you do not have to be technical to get into tech, which is like a lot of people just don't know this. Dees, you seem to know a thing or two about being an investor. And you'll probably deny this, but through our research, it turns out that you've done over 65 investments, and one of them being borderless. Thank you very much. I want to ask, how much does community or network strength influence your decision to back a founder? Is that something that you think about at all when you're writing a check?
No, not at all. Like I'm backing people at that point. At some point, like it may be an adventure like Borderless that does rely on community, and at that point, I'm willing to share and help the founder with my experiences, and my experiences are only my experiences. Like, I can share my 2 or 3 cent comments, but it's what founders and teams want to do with that. But does it play a part in me deciding to invest at the outset? Not at all.
But again, like, you have quite a vast network. Do you rely on your community when making investment decisions? In the sense that, like, you've introduced me to a lot of folks, and I would like to believe, and I think I believe that they invest in me because of you, not like because of your introduction. Is that something that you pay attention to when writing checks to startups?
I'm more paying attention to like where are the commonalities, like, okay, I'm investing in a founder. Like, do we know similar people? Do we hang around the same circles? I'm not a VC, right? So like my back of the napkin math is very different, right? I'm putting my own capital on the line that I'm happy to sort of lose, and I will get wrong. If you tell me 65 times, I will get wrong 64 times, hopefully, and just have one nice liquidity event. But the dirty secret is I'm backing people, and my terrible due diligence, which is not advice to anyone on this call, is like, do I want to hang out with that person? Do I want to have a meal with that person? If that person called me up right now, would I just ignore the call or would I pick it up? And sometimes you've spent time with that person through past lives, etc. It helps you to make that decision. Other times you meet a founder that you've never met before, right? And again, terrible DD advice. But sometimes even within the first few seconds of the conversation with the person, I've already made up my mind. And that's not even about talking about the problem space or what have you. It's like, do I connect with this person? And the reality is, like, now that I've done it a number of times, I get it wrong a lot of the times, right? If I had to retrospectively look at the people I've backed over the years, and if you ask me today, now that you know what you know, would you back this person again? Sometimes, unfortunately, the answer would be no, because founders and founding teams, when they're in raising capital mode, can put on a different face and a different attitude and a different persona. And once that's done, they go back to what they are. And you don't know that, right? But the reality is, like, I'm backing people that they call and they have a problem to work out. I want to spend time with them. I want to talk through it. Like, they don't have to listen to me or my advice, but I want to try to be helpful to them, because my money is laughable because I'm not a VC. So at that point, like, all I get to pass on to them is one, and you've been the benefactor of this, my experiences, because that's the only thing I have in my back pocket in one pocket, and the other pocket is my network, right? But once I'm backing you, you have full access to both of those things.
Yeah.
And do I want to, like, if I did not want to hang out with Joe, even after backing you, you would never have been invited to a breakfast, a lunch, or a dinner. That's the simple truth. Thank you.
Yeah, I can attest I'm a big benefactor of your network and your experience. So thank you so much. Yeah, I think for those who don't know, I'd raised a pre-seed this year, and Dees, beyond just introducing me to people, he even joined calls with me to pitch to other investors, which is amazing. So I highly recommend Dees on your cap table, but please don't overwhelm him. I am conscious of time. I want to close it out. Thank you both for your time. I've learned a lot, and yeah, I hope everybody else on this call have also learned quite a bit. Just to close it out, Valerie, what advice do you have for people who want to start their own community?
Just don't delay. And community is what you put into community, you'll always get out, and you'll never be bigger than your own community. Community is essential for everything. So just, if you're going to do it, either find a community that's already doing it, join it, scale it, support it. If there's a gap, start your own community and just trust that people support the mission if you're actually going after a real problem. But yeah, community is what you make it. So just invest into it as Dees has done really well, and trust that community will, yeah, exactly. Community is a literally no investment, is what I've taken from this call. But yeah, that's what I'll say.
Thank you so much. Dees, do you want to add anything to that? Like, what advice would you have for people while you've never held the title as an official community builder? Like, what advice would you have for people who want to get started?
Community is best when it's happening when you don't even know it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to start something. It just sort of happens. You don't also have to be the starter of something. Like, you know, you could join something that's already started, see if it's for you, and make it better. Like, add value to it. Like, that doesn't mean you have to go start something new, because there's only so many things that you, like, people will have time or effort or energy for, right? So I worry when like something new comes up and it's because it's about the person wanting to be the start or the leader of a thing. And even more worrying if that person hasn't actually been showing up for all the other things, because at least if they have, they've seen all the things that they would do differently, and that's why they're starting something new.
No, this has been super insightful, Dees. I know you just got back and you're probably very tired. The day is Thursday, by the way, Thursday 27th, just in case.
Like, is it Wednesday? Is it Friday? I don't know. Like, you know.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Valerie. I know this is right in the middle of your day. I am extremely grateful for your time. For those who don't know, you'll find Valerie and Dees on LinkedIn. They're active Dees secret community.
I'm not active anymore because HoaQ and her team have just absolutely flooded my notifications. So yeah, I'm trying to stay away. Thanks.
All right, thank you both. Valerie, there's one question for you, which is, as you build a community in the UK, how do you stay focused when there are so many reasons why community is hard to build in the UK for people of color?
How do I stay focused when there's so many reasons why community is so hard to build? The thing is, I actually don't think community is as hard to build as we think it is. I think if you believe that community is hard to build and always be hard to build, but I actually genuinely believe that we as human beings, we're creatures that want to belong. That's literally it. Like, we were designed for community, we're designed for ecosystem. So in my head, it's just like, okay, like if I put on this event, as Dee said, like the right people will show up, but the people don't show up. That is none of my business. Like, it is what it is. So I think when you have that mentality that people actually just want to belong, you'll be fine. So yeah, that's what I'll say. It is hard, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, amazing. I am so glad I hosted this because it's probably been the best conversation. You both spoke about what I really care about, and I think like we wouldn't be here without community. And I think that we're all strengthening each other. And Valerie, please, thank you for your support. Thank you for how you help our community online and in person to continue to grow. And for those who, please stay in touch with Valerie. Valerie will be doing a lot of events. If I see you at one of these events, hopefully in the new year, good for you. But, you know, Valerie, the way you're smiling, I think you might be getting an invite, but that's not up to me. But Dees, Valerie, thank you for making the time. And yeah, thank you for making time for us.
No, thank you, Joe.
All right. Okay, thank you. For like me, I am going to give it back to you for you to take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you, Valerie, and thank you, Dees. Dees, you know, you're a member of the community. I'll continue to disturb you because that's what we've spoken about here. So I'll continue to disturb you. Okay. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. Also, not surprisingly, but coincidentally, I delivered a presentation at Northgate Africa on Friday talking about the role of angel investment, syndicates, communities shaping Africa's growth story. If you don't follow me, I will be dropping the presentation tomorrow morning on my LinkedIn just for founders to be able to access that deck, because I think the deck is going to be very useful for founders building in Africa and also just for Africans. So watch out for that. If you don't follow me, my name is Falakemi Osho, or you can just follow HoaQ. You will see it on both sides. Anyway, thank you so much. Just to quickly give us a quick update for those of you that are HoaQ members, we currently have deals live. We have a deal which is Go Lemon. We've invested in Go Lemon twice now, and we also invested through the fund as well. Go Lemon is raising a bridge round. This has been open for a while, and we're looking to close it by next week. So if you're looking to commit, or if you've committed and not made your payments, you can just go on your dashboard and quickly make the payment so you don't miss out on this opportunity. All right, next slide. We still have some deals open. Billbox, Timon, Billbox, we have the Meet the Founder session tomorrow. So if you're interested in learning more about Billbox and asking the founders some questions, you feel free to join our session tomorrow, 5 p.m. WAT. We are speaking with the founders of Billbox. We've spoken to the founders of Timon. If you're on Slack, you can just go to the different Slack channels to watch the Meet the Founder sessions, to read the investment memos, as well as the deck. Next slide. We also have Credit Check. We have Cheap Mango. We have, next slide, please. All of these deals are being uploaded on Borderless. Borderless is our infrastructure, which has been built by Joe. So for all of this is available to you as HoaQ members. Upcoming events, we have our annual general meeting happening on the 18th of December, where we'll be running through the year, our highs, our lows, what we've seen so far in the year, insights as to what's happening in the ecosystem. All of this will be shared during our annual general meeting on the 18th of December. And just to close out the year, we would also be having do I call it a Desi December party? This is just for you to come network, to come speak to other founders, to come speak to other investors, network, also while you enjoy yourself. So this will be happening in Lagos sometime in December 2025. We would be communicating the dates and we'll let you know how that is gonna go. Next slide. We have a fund. I don't think we speak enough about our fund, but we do have a fund, a $5 million fund with the aim to invest in founders who are building tech and tech-enabled startups for Africa and its diaspora. If you would like to learn more about the fund, you can just send us an email or to venturesfund@hoaq.co, or reach out to Yewande Odumosu, who is the managing partner of the fund, and she'll provide you with more details of our fund. Next slide. All right, thank you so much for joining us. You can also find us on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. Anywhere you are, we're there, telling you about angel investments, telling you what's going on in the ecosystem. Anything Africa community, we are the go-to guys for you. So make sure you follow us on all of our socials so you don't miss out on any important information. You can as well subscribe to our newsletter as well. We share newsletter bi-weekly. That means every 2 weeks, where we give you a rundown of what's happening in the ecosystem, things to look out for, things to read, events to look out for. You can even apply for jobs just via our newsletter. Our newsletter is widely read. We currently have over 5,000 people on our newsletter in general. So this is something you don't want to miss out on. 8,000 on our newsletter. So imagine that. Thank you again for joining us. A big shout out to our speakers for the day, Joe,